Hometown Ghost Stories contains serious and often distressing events and is not intended for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome in, everybody. I am your host, Rob Coakley, and today we are doing one of my favorite things that we do here, haunted headlines. And to help me cover some of these haunted headlines, I have with me Jesse Wilkins.
Hello, Robert.
And we also have Dave.
These are some of my favorites.
Yeah, we haven't done this in a little bit, and I am excited to share with you guys some of the stuff that I did find in some old newspapers. And for those that are unaware, haven't seen or heard one of these episodes before, the Haunted Headlines episodes, we exclusively look through old newspapers and pull up tales of hauntings and other scary and sometimes funny things that have happened in the past. So I think
not tales of hauntings, actual reports, news reports of hauntings.
Yeah. And there's no better way than to explain to everybody what we're doing than to just jump into it with this very first story that I have for you guys. And this one is from 1921, and it's from Columbia University, titled "Columbia Lays Ghost When Building is Raised." The faculty club at Columbia University, the last remaining building of the group that once formed the Bloomingdale Asylum, is being torn down. And it is believed that the university ghost will pass with it. I got news for them, by the way. If they think that tearing the building down is going to get rid of their ghost.
That's not usually how that works.
Yeah, it does not usually go well in that situation.
It's actually quite the contrary. Every single time we cover a haunting where they're doing any sort of renovation on any building, that stirs the spirits up.
Yeah,
whether it pisses them off because you're messing with their building or just agitates the natural energy.
Yes,
true. Let's see where this goes.
The ghost has haunted the subterranean passages of the university, but is believed to have made its headquarters in the former asylum building. Seems like a good place for a ghost to kind of hang its hat, I would say.
Make his headquarters, like he's going back. Like all I can picture is him in front of like a bunch of computer screens with security cameras, like just figuring out a plan on what he's going to haunt next. He sees a guy walk by. He's like, I'm going to scare the shit out of him.
In 1921, he's got this whole surveillance system going.
Yeah, runs out of the okay. All right.
Yeah,
So he's got no surveillance cameras. He's got a whole bunch of telescopes, and in his headquarters, he's looking out at each telescope to find a person crossing by that he's going to run outside and scare the shit out of. That's how ghost headquarters work.
Drawing what he sees constantly so that he knows what's going on around him.
Mm-hmm. Making oil paintings.
Yes. It is the ghost of a student who became crazy from studying too hard and was sent to Bloomingdale almost half a century ago. The unfortunate youth was obsessed with the idea that he was immortal in a physical sense. And when other lunatics questioned his theory, he put it to the test by committing suicide.
Okay, so he actually was mentally disturbed, but
I don't think that was from studying.
Well, no. Okay, so when they say like, oh, he went crazy from studying, it probably back then was like he went crazy from studying means like, oh, now he's really smart and he knows things we don't, so he's a witch.
Well, back in the day, it was like we went over this. I think with Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum was they had the list of reasons that they would admit people, and one of them was reading too many books. So this is right par for the course of. Oh, he reads a lot. He's
insane.
Yeah, insanity. He's a lunatic.
200 or 300 years prior, you read too much. So like he's a witch.
At intervals since the university succeeded the asylum, his ghost has laid violent hands upon persons using the subterranean passage, seizing them by the arm or shoulder and shouting in their ears that he was immortal. Which sounds funny, but like just picture that.
No, it's funny because he's dead.
Touche.
That's tough. Yeah.
That's immortal. Why can't you hear me?
Yeah, that's
no.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know where to go from there. But It's like losing the Super Bowl and then going up to someone and just grabbing them, like, we never lose Super Bowls. Like, it's just
The ghost
It was pass interference.
just getting your ass kicked and then getting up and just grabbing a stranger. I've never lost a fight.
Am I dead? Yes, actually. The ghost's most recent appearance was just about a year ago when he seized SF Covert, a sophomore, in the underground passage connecting
Wow,
Fairweather.
How did he even find him?
Who knows? A sophomore in the underground passage connecting Fairweather and Science Halls.
That was a covert joke, by the way.
I got it. I just got it.
Yeah, I
didn't-
saw Dave's reaction 23 seconds later. Like, I was like, all right, at least somebody understood my covert joke.
I didn't
really
get
funny
it at
stuff.
all.
Everyone is gonna laugh at that joke because it was
think-
really funny.
Please let us know how funny that was in the comments. The imprints of the ghost's fingers showed black and blue on Covert's arm for several days. So that is the story of the haunting of the ghost at Columbia University.
I love
With-
the little phasmophobia detail at the end there. They got ghost fingerprints.
Yes.
Yeah,
What
but
if they
it's
use a
like ghost
black light to find
bruises.
it? Oh, on his skin?
Yeah, it was on his
it's
skin.
black and blue. This is actually like we were joking a bit, but there are some serious haunts in this.
Yeah.
The ghost is grabbing people in this passageway, screaming in their ears.
Yeah. This is
Like,
actually terrifying.
we joked about it because the message that he was saying was ridiculous, but but because of the message, they can attribute it to his ghost because in life he was claiming that he was immortal, and that is something that someone who thinks they're immortal would be screaming, ironically, in death. And then you also have physical attacks. You have this is a serious haunting, actually very serious haunting.
Terrifying. So now it said so the headline is the building was razed, so it's not there anymore.
Correct.
Okay, so it wasn't like a renovation where they like just knocked down part of it and rebuilt it. It's gone.
Yeah, supposedly it's gone. So we should probably look more into this one at Columbia University and see if they still have some sort of because this one is physically assaulting students, and this is like
leaving
we said
bruises.
back in 1921. So
Yeah.
all right, do you guys want to get a little more I don't know if I was going to say lighthearted, but that's not the right word. You want to get a little strange with
Let's get
what
weird. Let's get weird.
you guys want to get a little
That's
weird?
strange with you. Yeah, let's get weird.
So this one is from the 1914 Sheboygan, Wisconsin newspaper titled
It's a long one.
Held Head of Peepers Club. Sheboygan.
Straight up, it's a bad name for your club.
Oh, buddy. I just want to read this one to you. And Sheboygan, May 27, Fred Damrow, arrested as a peeping Tom, confessed to being president of a Peepers Club, which meets nightly. The men, all over 20 years, wander around town and meet at midnight to exchange tales of their experiences.
Okay, so not a good club, but actually surprisingly appropriate name for their club.
Yeah, very
You nailed
appropriate.
the name. Yeah, dude, like this just can't happen nowadays. Like it's just making the newspaper. It's like, yeah, this is a club. So if you want to join the Peepers Club, Fred Damrow, he's the president. Just find him at midnight. They're wandering around and they're all telling tales of looking in people's windows.
I'm just gonna come out and say it. Like, if you get arrested for doing this, it's not gonna help your case to let them know that you are the president
Do
of
you
the
know?
Peepers Club.
Do you know who I am?
Look at this card.
Like, oh no, we know because you got it embroidered on your shirt. We can see it. It says President of Peepers Club, Fred Damrow, right on your shirt.
It says
And
number
you
one
also-
peeping Tom.
You also, yeah, you're carrying your trophy, and you have also, which you didn't need. You also have a "Hello, my name is Fred Damrow, President of the Peepers Club" name tag on.
Do you know who I am? My name's Fred Damrow. Do you see these golden binoculars? I am the president of the Peepers Club.
Yeah, you get awarded the Golden Binoculars for being the biggest creep.
For being the biggest creep in Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
You know, it was
So-
actually a little bit of a letdown that the Peepers Club wasn't something else, and they just picked a really bad name. Yeah, those are just creepy dudes
Yeah, just creepy
committing
people.
crimes.
Why don't we get back to some creepy stories? How about we do that?
Well, that was a creepy story, but
Well, that might have actually been the creepiest one we're going to tell, but let's get back to some creepy ghost story. Can you just believe that it was like so nonchalantly reported in the newspaper? Like, oh, there's a Peepers Club. They meet at midnight. So there's that Sheboygan.
It doesn't say where they meet, how many people are in it, who are the other
Yeah.
members. It's just if they meet at midnight.
And they tell tales. Like it's a social club that's just okay. No,
Yeah.
it's okay. We're validated by the
I
government.
wonder who the worst member is. Like he shows up, he's just saw a family eating dinner. They're like, come on, man, step it up. No, the worst one. And nobody was home again. Like, get him out of the club. You can't even be in the club anymore. Revoked. Get his name tag. Get his name tag and his embroidered shirt. He doesn't even get that anymore.
The worst member is the guy that only reports from stuff from watching out his own window. He doesn't actually go outside and look in other people's window. He just tells what he sees from his own personal house.
Yeah,
Mailman went to that today.
I saw my wife and kids eating dinner at the dinner table. And
dude, go in and eat. You're hungry.
She won't take me back.
I told you we don't serve dinner at the Peepers Club because we meet at midnight. Everything's closed. You got to start eating with your family. All right, moving on.
All right, let's go to this next one. This one is from the newspaper is Savannah, Georgia. I believe it's going to be in Alabama, though. I couldn't find the origin, but it does say what county it's in. So this is from 1891. Until recently, it was the popular belief that a church in a Morgan County cemetery was haunted. A belated horseman took refuge in the church during a storm when he saw the form of a woman standing in the pulpit, gesticulating in a threatening manner, and at the same moment, an unearthly laugh broke the stillness of the surroundings. Hastily beating a retreat, the man mounted his horse and was in the act of fleeing when he felt an icy hand clutch him from behind. Putting spurs to his frightening steed, he galloped off, with the object still clinging on behind, its demoniacal laugh still ringing in his ears. Almost crazed by fright, he frantically drone rein at the nearest neighbors, and when his arrival was made known, his friend found an old harmless idiot, commonly known as Crazy Jane, still clinging to him, seated behind him on the horse. It was who had given the church the reputation of being haunted. So
Crazy Jane. Typical Crazy Jane.
Yeah, again, you can just see how much the English language evolves. He gets to his friend's house and it was just like, oh, there's just an old harmless idiot on you right now.
I know. These two, the terms idiot and lame and dumb, like those are all insults nowadays, but way back then it was just, I'm just describing something.
Yeah, it's just a description.
Like an imbecile.
Yeah, it's you see it on all these buildings and stuff. And it's just so nonchalant in this paper. This is actually a really terrifying written newspaper article with the icy hand grabbing him and clinging on to him, and it ends up actually being a person. So
this is like a hitchhiker ghost story before there were cars, basically, is what it seems like, right?
Yeah, except the person was real.
It was a real person.
It was a real person that was like hiding out in this church, causing people to think that it was haunted, and then she just starts laughing at this guy and grabs on, and he thinks it's a ghost until he gets to his friend's house.
Oh, okay. So
if you need a ride home, you just got to act like a crazy person in a church, make people think the church is haunted, and then hitch a ride on the back of someone's horse with your icy hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's an old saying.
Gesticulate in a threatening manner if you really want to get a ride.
Yeah. Gesticulate. It's we need to bring that word back.
It's a good word. I mean, it's never gone anywhere. That's a word that's still used.
Not really. I mean, when's the last time you used it other than tonight?
Oh man, I don't use the word that often, to be honest. It's a pretty big word. Just to say like, oh, and he speaks with his hands. That means he's gesticulating.
And it's fair. All right.
I'm glad you said that, because I'm sitting here the whole time. I'm like, I'm waiting for someone to say what this word actually means.
It's an Italian thing.
Gesticulating. Yeah. And that's all the time we have, because that's how long that word is. So
it's a long one.
We got to get out of here. Let's get into our next story, shall we? This one is from 1933, titled "Student Leaping with Parachute Drops into Grave." And this is from Rochester, New York.
Hopefully not his own grave.
June 22nd, Baron Brodine, 19-year-old student parachute jumper of Pittsford, didn't believe in omens, signs, or portents. If he did, today's experience would make him think twice before continuing his career. Brodine jumped at 2,000 feet from a Brizzy Field plane piloted by Robert Hoffman. He waited the requisite 3 seconds and pulled the ripcord. The chute blossomed out, and he floated gently to the ground to land in a freshly dug grave in Whitehaven Cemetery, adjoining the flying field.
My problem with this article, because it ended right there, correct? That's the end of it?
Yeah, that's the end of it.
Okay. It didn't say whether he was killed or injured or whose grave it was. It just, he landed into what I would assume is just a grave that was dug. I mean, that's crazy, right? Even if, like, let's assume he was fine.
Yeah, which I think he was.
I think he is fine.
You think so?
I think so. They just said that
there's some weird details in there, right? Like he waited the 3 seconds to pull the cord. He pulled the cord and then landed in a grave. Why do you include the fact that he waited the 3 seconds? Like he waited the requisite 3 seconds, right?
Yeah,
And pulled the cord. Why would you include that detail if everything ended fine?
Well,
right?
it said he floated gently to the ground.
Yeah.
To land in a freshly dug grave.
He floated gently to his death, maybe.
Maybe he. All right, here's a possibility. He could have starved to death on the way down.
To land in the Headless Valley. Like, was that? He just landed and starved to death in his own grave.
I will say, Dave, that they don't really explain what happened to him because, like, to your point, if you go back, since this is so short, I'll just read it. It talks about him not believing in like omens or signs, and then goes, if he did, today's experience would make him think twice before continuing his career. Okay,
so that adds up. That means he's fine.
Yeah, it means he's fine.
That means he's fine, which he was. But could you imagine if he jumped out of that plane and fell to his death and happened to land in a grave? Like, that's like, okay.
What year was this?
Going on?
Yeah,
1933.
1933.
Okay. And he was what, 19 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he did probably end up dying.
Eventually.
I would
So it was an
wager
omen.
that he might be close to it if he's not already dead.
Yeah. So turns out it was a bad omen.
Yeah. It's gonna happen. He's gonna die. You
He's
gotta
alive.
buy
He's
that
in his,
plot,
he's in his
right?
hundreds if he's alive.
I feel like you own that plot though. Like even if like
Yeah.
someone from town is getting buried in it the next day, like if you land in it from jumping from a plane, like you have to protest. Like, no, this is where I am going to be buried now.
This was written by an anti-skydiving reporter.
Probably.
Or his mother.
Yeah.
This was written by his mother. They really wanted him to stop skydiving. Like, you idiot. You're going to die. You just landed in a grave.
Stop jumping out of planes.
He's like, Ma, you followed my trajectory and dug the grave. So I would land right in it. You just wanted to write this article. I don't know. That is
pretty wild. I mean, if omens are real things, I mean, that's got to be one, right? I mean, maybe he never jumped out of another plane again.
or portents. Omens, signs, or portents. He needs to know the importance of. Okay, moving on.
All right, let's jump into our next one. Let's talk about a haunted lumber camp in Maine from 1895.
What, first of all, is a lumber camp?
What do you mean? What is a lumber camp?
I don't know. What
Tell us what a lumber camp is, Rob.
I mean, my assumption is it's a camp for people that are cutting down trees.
First of all, if you're assuming, you don't get to be like, what do you mean? What's a lumber camp? You don't know. I assume it's this because I also fucking know.
Yeah, I mean, I immediately think lumber yard, but it says lumber camp, so it must be something different. Maybe it's an old word for a lumber yard. Maybe we read the article.
Yeah, like I went to
without talking like idiots.
No, it's not a lumber yard.
I went to summer camp. Like my parents, if they sent me to lumber camp, that would have been a totally different thing.
It does sound like it's a camp for really dumb kids. Like, oh, if your kid is dumb as a tree, send him to lumber camp where they chop wood.
He doesn't do anything. He's a big idiot. He just lumbers around. Where do I send him?
You guys don't remember playing Red Dead 2?
Camp.
They like would set up camp around the area that they were cutting down trees. Like that's
okay.
That's
sure,
a lumber
that makes
camp.
sense. Yeah,
right?
Maybe. But maybe we could read the article and figure it out without sitting here talking like idiots.
Some
all these lumber camp goers are like, these idiots don't even know.
Instead of sitting here gesticulating, let's just
we're gesticulating. They're eating their tree with a bunch of other dumb kids. Like, these guys don't even know.
No flair for imagination with this title. It is just titled A Haunted Lumber Camp.
Yeah.
Strange tales come from the Soundhook region in regard to Jack Reed's Depot camp on the road leading to Strickland's Mountain. The camp is built over the grave of a man who was killed in some unknown way. Nice reporting there.
Yeah,
Figuring,
you
man.
said killed.
Yeah, you could have just figured it out, done some actual
Journalism.
And the woodsmen say the place is haunted. At any rate, it's like he's just talking, right?
Anyways,
Anyway, so, you know,
whatever. Moving on.
Murders, hauntings, anyways.
Yeah. At any rate, on every moonlight night, a listener outside the camp can hear the sound of rolling stones that apparently are grating, grinding, rattling, plunking each other. All right, let's keep it PG here.
Rolling Stones.
As though sliding down a steep bank. Diligent search.
Yeah, Did they
Diligent-
stop to at least paint it black first?
Did they gather no moss?
They were like, well, we did hear it, but now we can't hear me knocking.
Diligent search has been made for the source of this strange noise, but so far no one has solved the mystery. Old lumbermen remember that the camp has been considered to be haunted for years, and the sound of the rolling stones has been heard on many a moonlight night.
If they just had more sympathy for the devil, it wouldn't be haunted.
Many lumbermen who are on their way into the Sour Denonhonk region prefer to push by the depot camp and take a night tramp rather than sleep over that grave and hear those grinding, rolling stones.
Yeah, so what they do is they leave the camp and they find somewhere else and they say, hey, please, give me shelter.
shelter.
Ah, you knew where that was going. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it does sound, well, first of all, it sounds like this journalist does no journalism.
Can you please read the entire story again?
Yeah, all I
can
can
think
do
of Rolling Stone Punch the whole time.
all I can do is just think of Rolling Stone songs.
I have no idea what happened. Next story.
All right. I think I've got one more for us tonight. This one is titled Headless Ghost is Abroad. And this is from New Jersey in 1909. Got a little subtext here. Says weird mystery near Beverly, New Jersey. Recalls story of old unexplained murder. Edward Calhorn.
Edward.
Edward.
I thought you said the ghost was abroad. I'm out of here.
He's gesticulating again.
Oh, man. Edward Calhorn, a farmer who never imbibes.
Not abroad, not a honky tonk woman. We're moving on. Sorry, Rob. Please read.
Edward Calhorn, a farmer who never imbibes and who prides himself upon his veracity, is the authority for the statement that a headless figure walks the creek woods about 2 miles from here. For the third time he met it, as he was driving along the Bridgeboro Road, a form stepped out to the middle of the highway.
Biggest fear when driving down a creepy road.
Yes.
Is a headless figure popping out on? Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
Well,
know.
anything
that wasn't a
popping
joke,
out,
yeah.
but like the headless makes it a little bit worse.
Just a ghost in the middle of the road. That's what you think about every time you're driving down a creepy road with no street lights. You're like, God, it would be terrifying to see a ghost just standing in the middle of the road, right?
Yep. 100%.
That road me and you were driving down, Dave, like a year ago, I think when we were going to
Pennsylvania.
Penhurst.
Yeah.
That we were on that road for like 30 miles, and I've never been so convinced we were going to see a headless ghost as I was on this particular shortcut that the GPS took us.
It's so weird. We went to the same exact place a week ago, and it didn't take us that road.
It didn't give us the ghost detour. It wasn't like, do you want to go down this isolated road that's in the middle of nowhere that no one will find your body when the ghost veers you off the road and into the woods?
Seriously, yeah. I'll be honest. I was a little disappointed.
Yeah. How did we not get that road again?
The highway the whole time was so boring.
I think maybe the GPS will only take you down that road if it's 11 p.m. at night or in that witching hour area between like 11 and 3.
Right. Yeah. GPS has a contract with like murderers in the area or something.
Calhorn at first thought it was a highwayman and fired his revolver.
Well,
But
what the fuck?
Yeah,
Don't let that man around any highwaymen at all.
Do you have a date
That's
on this?
highwayman, murder, murder, murder.
Is there a date on this?
yeah, 1909.
1909. There's like this thing with this time period, right? Late 1800s, very early 1900s. People see ghosts, they pull their revolvers out and shoot at them.
Yeah,
That's like a recurring thing.
Yeah.
It was a
Well,
thing back then.
well, highwaymen were
Those
just
are people
like
who would
robbers.
rob people on the highway. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
I
why
immediately think truck driver when I think highwayman.
Oh, see, I was
don't know
thinking I always think like patrolmen, like state troopers.
Yeah, either way, just don't shoot at anyone at first
Yeah.
sight.
I thought it was
I know,
police.
fair
I
enough.
have to fire. But the ghost remained standing at the animal's head. What? Where was there an animal? At the
I don't
beginning
remember
of
an
the
animal
story?
being in the story. Did we miss something here?
Yeah, there was nothing about an animal. All it said that he was driving along the Bridgeboro Road. A form stepped out to the middle of the highway. Calhorn at first thought it was a highwayman and fired his revolver, but the ghost remained standing at the animal's head.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe it happened to have been an animal. Maybe they're gonna explain.
Oh,
it
it's his animal. It's his horse.
Oh, his horse is
Oh,
okay.
he's riding a horse.
highwayman, right?
All right.
In fairness, I read ahead.
Good.
So I didn't figure that out on my own.
That's more journalism work than the last guy we read from, though. So good job, Jesse.
Mhm.
Calhorn lashed his horse, which we could have just figured out if we read the next 4 words.
Which is actually the most ridiculous sentence in the entire thing. So please continue reading.
Calhorn lashed his horse for 10 minutes.
What a dickhead.
What?
Like, dude, maybe the animal is scared because you just shot at nothing, and then you get off and you beat the shit out of your horse for 10 minutes. You
10
scumbag.
minutes?
This
10
man is
minutes.
this man is unhinged.
But the animal refused to budge. Good. And as Calhorn jumped from his carriage, determined to solve the mystery, the thing vanished. Did the thing wait there for 10 minutes while he was lashing his horse?
10 minutes is 2/3 of like a championship UFC round fight if they go the distance.
What
He beat
are
the
we
shit out of his
doing
horse
here?
for 10 minutes while the ghost was still standing there.
The ghost was like, I think you should calm down.
The
I don't
ghost is like,
think you
"Dude,
need
please stop. I
please don't."
apologize.
To
I
be
feel-
fair,
I hope I feel like this is my fault.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't think he got down and started punching his horse. I'm pretty sure he was just still in the carriage, just giving it the old
Yeah.
trying to get the thing to move, and it just wouldn't budge for 10 minutes. So that's kind of what happened here. But at first reading that, I thought he got down and started punching it, started Mike Tysoning his horse or something.
Mongo.
Different times.
Comparing notes, Calhorn found that at least 2 other men had been confronted by the same object in the same vicinity while out late at night, and 2 agreeing with his description of it, that it wears a long gray cloak and is headless. Residents of the vicinity also tell of hearing strange cries, resembling the cries of a child.
Okay, this is terrifying.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is actually the long gray cloak, no head, and cries like a child.
Yes. We get some good ghost stories from back in the day, is what I will say.
Certainly do.
They don't make them like they used to.
The singular visitation has revived the story of an eccentric old man who lived alone in a hut along the creek some 30 years ago and who was found murdered, his head having been severed, presumably the victim of burglars. The mystery of the crime never was explained.
Head severed, presumably the victim of burglars. That would be the victim of murderers, right?
Yeah.
Like I
We'll
feel like
also
once,
do burglary. Yes.
well, okay. If
Yeah, once you start doing
break into
deca-
someone's house, it's like I take some jewelry and I decapitate somebody. I maybe
Gotta
murder-
throw him off the trail of this burglary.
Last thing I want them to know is that I steal things.
He's a burglar who murders people. That's a murderer who also burgles things.
This is also why people didn't think there were serial killers until the 1970s,
I know, right?
Yeah, I know.
because they
I-
would just
I covered up my tax evasion by burning down all the schools in my state.
I know.
Really threw them off.
It's so crazy nowadays how many people are just cutting people's heads and hands off.
nobody used to do this when I was a child.
Yeah.
They used to just steal from them and then cut their heads off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just,
Burglars.
Yes, yes. yes, I beheaded 6 people this week, but I was actually in their house to drink their milk.
I finally didn't steal anything. I wiped out the entire family, but I left the pocket watch on the counter.
You'll never get me now.
Took the bacon though.
It definitely took the bacon. You got to take that pound of bacon and
pound it.
Lack of a better term, yes.
Absolutely. All right, so that's going to do it for this edition of Hometown Ghost Stories Haunted Headlines. If you come across any haunted headlines of your own, you can send those to hometownghoststories@gmail.com or hop over to our Discord. We have a whole section for haunted headlines. You can upload them there. We'll take them. We love reading these. This is one of my favorite things we do, other than the regular episodes. I love going back and hearing some of these funny, but some of these absolutely terrifying ghost stories. We need to follow up on that college one. What was it, Columbia University?
Yeah, absolutely.
And see if there's more stuff going on there. To this day would be interesting to find out.
It's true. And if you or a loved one is suffering from bad Rolling Stone puns, don't listen to this episode.
Yeah,
You're
this
just
is
gonna
not
get
gonna
worse.
help.
Yep. It's too late now. So for those of you that turn on the final 5 minutes of an episode to see how it wraps up, I know it's a weird bunch, niche market there, but yeah, don't do that.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever been like, let me hear how this ends before I start it?
No, with literally anything. Nothing I've never done that with anything.
Sometimes when I'm reading like a comic, like the funnies in like the newspaper. Back when
How
that was a
old
thing.
are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing? You get a fucking newspaper?
No, but all right, you take like any comic strip, right?
I love how we're making fun of you for doing something with an old newspaper when that was literally what this entire fucking episode was based off of.
I know.
What do you read old newspapers, you fucking nerd?
No, but I always have this thing where I just always read the last thing, and then I'm like, why did I do that?
Yeah, no, my brain does the same thing. I'm like, what's gonna happen? Yeah, same with
Or
like
if it's like
with the 4 block
Yeah, I was
formats.
gonna
Yeah,
say,
I go to the end. I'm like,
weird
oh,
meme.
that's I don't know why.
That's what I should have said instead of the funnies in the comics.
Yeah, easy.
Idiot.
You know when I read the funnies in the newspaper?
See?
How ironic of us making fun of you for doing that on this episode.
That's good.
All right, but if you want to support the show, leave a comment on this. You can jump over to Patreon, sign up for that, or just leave us a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcast. But for myself, for Dave, for Jesse, we'll catch you next time. Peace.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching another episode of Hometown Ghost Stories. If you like this video, be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you can see exactly when we go live. Spoiler, it'll be every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I know what you're thinking. We're all thinking it. Where have all of our reviews gone? Well, we've moved all of our horror movie reviews as well as other reviews over to a brand new YouTube channel. It is brand new, it is small, it is thirsty for new subscribers. So, if you like horror movies, if you like horror video games, horror TV series, even horror books, swing on over to HTGS Reviews and drop a subscribe on our brand new, pathetically small and starving new channel. Hey, it needs you, and we need you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for a brand new episode.